book that we decided to do was Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And this book takes place in a futuristic dystopian society in London, England.
The year is 632 AF, and AF is the way they count their years. So year 0 is the year that Henry Ford made the Model T automobile assembly line, and that's what this society has taken for their children.
And they worshipped Ford as like he was God because of his industrial contributions to the world.
Okay, so this book starts off by the director of the conditioning center, and he's showing them around that center and showing them how everything works. So first he's showing them how the children are made, and these children in this book aren't made, they're not conceived, but they're genetically engineered. So they take the ovaries from the girls.
The children are made in 5 different groups or castes, and there's alphas, betas, deltas, gammas, and epsilons. And alpha and beta are the top dogs, and they're the popular intellectual leaders of the world. The delta, gamma, and epsilons, they are the lower class.
So these babies and kids grew up in these hatching and conditioning centers, and they taught them in really weird ways. So they first taught them to hate nature and to hate reading books because they didn't want them to focus on old things but to focus on what was going on now. And so whenever they would look at flowers or go to touch a book, sirens would go off and they'd be shocked. And so when they grew up, they wouldn't like books and flowers.
Alright, so this is the nursery where we're teaching these 8-month-old babies to not like flowers or books, like nature.
And then they were also taught through hypnopedia. So when they're sleeping, it would just play statements in their minds so that they could learn.
So the first main characters that come into the book are Lenina and Henry. And so those two have been like having a sexual relationship for 4 months, and people are getting weirded out by that. And so she's trying to figure out a way to solve this problem. And so she starts thinking of another alpha whose name is Bernard.
And so Bernard previously had asked her if she wanted to go with New Mexico with him to the Indian reservation. And so she decided to accept his invitation to kind of calm the nerves of others who had been thinking that her relationship with Henry was getting too serious.
So Bernard went to go get permission from the director to go to the Indian reservation because some of the places in the world were restricted.
And while Bernard was there, the director told them a story of how he went to New Mexico. He went with one of his previous lovers, and when they were there, they went on a walk. After their walk, they took a nap, but when he woke up, she was gone.
Linda, this looks like a great spot.
All right.
Linda? Linda!
I can't find Linda anywhere. I guess I'm just gonna have to go home without her.
So Bernard and Lenina heard this warning. They went to the Indian reservation, and they met John and Linda. And Linda was the director's past lover, and Bernard and Lenina find out that John was a child that the director had with Linda.
Hi, I'm Bernard.
Hi, I'm John. Mom, we have a visitor.
Hello, I'm Linda.
You're the director's lover?
Yes, and that is our son.
And Linda was taken in by the Indian reservation in their community, and John was raised in the culture of the Indians, which is very different than the culture of the society in the book.
So Bernard and Lenina decide to take John and Linda back to their society. So Bernard decides to present them to the director while he is touring some more kids around. So when he brings them in, he thinks that he first brings in Linda, and the director thinks that she's crazy because she doesn't really know, like he doesn't recognize her because she's gotten a lot fatter and uglier. And so then he brings in John, and he's totally shocked and resigns as the director.
Another important part in the story was when Lenina decided that she liked John and John decided that he liked Lenina. And so they confessed their love for each other. And Lenina tried to seduce him, but when she did that, John realized that she wasn't the virtuous woman that he once thought she was. And so he was really hurt and angry, and so refused her. Lenina went to the bathroom, and while she was in the bathroom composing herself, John got a call saying that his mom was dying.
So John rushed to the hospital and went to see his mom, and when he was there, his mom couldn't remember who he was because she was dying, and so he lashed out kind of out of anger and he grabbed her, and she started to suffocate. And so he was calling for help, but she ended up dying, and he knelt down beside the bed and was crying, and there were students there touring, just getting used to the idea of death and that it's not a bad thing. The nurse came over and got mad at John because he was giving the kids the idea that death is a horrible thing.
No, Mother, it's me, John! Quick, help me! No, Mom!
Compose yourself. Think of the children.
So John left the room, and he was extremely angry. And he walked in the hallway, and he saw these deltas, and they were taking Soma. And Soma is a drug that makes people happy. And so when he saw that, he screamed at the deltas and said, "This is poison for you. You can't hide your feelings. It's not normal." And so he starts throwing the Soma out the window. And soon Bernard and Helmholtz join him. And soon after, the police come and they take him.
I've got some Soma for everyone!
Soma, this is so wrong! It's evil and rotten and it's poison! Poison! I hate Soma!
Come with me.
Oh no!
Not the jail.
Naughty.
Okay, so in the jail, Mustafa Mond, who is who invented this whole thing, he shows up and starts discussing with them about John reading and Shakespeare and stuff. So they just keep discussing about why they don't use whole things.
Oh, and while Mond was talking to them, he was talking about how he once was kind of sort of rebelling against the society about wanting to make scientific advances because the society kind of views more science advances as removing their stability. And so they told him they were going to take him away to an island, which he was okay with because at the island he would be able to work on his science and kind of improve himself. But he decided that the happiness of others was worth more than his. And while John was hiding away, he would punish himself by whipping himself. And they'd come in their planes, helicopters, and come and visit him and laugh at him because they thought it was funny that he would just sit there and whip himself. And so while they were there, the people would shout, what are they shouting? We want the whip. They're shouting it over and over. And while they were shouting that, Lenina showed up. And when Lenina got there, John just got really, really angry. And so he brought out his whip because he was going to whip Lenina. And so the crowd got really rioted and really happy because they're like, oh yeah, he has the whip. And so he started whipping Lenina, but then he felt bad for whipping Lenina, and so he started whipping himself. And so the crowd went into a frenzy and was all excited. And then finally at the end of the day they all left. And then the next day they come to make fun of him again, and the door's open, so they just walk in and they find John's feet dangling in the air.
And so that means that John committed suicide. Okay, so the main theme that we decided on for this book is some truths have to be hidden in order to find happiness. They deny what death actually is, and they don't really think about the real world. They just use the soma to blur their minds.
So for symbolism, one thing that symbolizes another is soma kind of symbolizes instant gratification in drugs. Because we could compare it to drugs today because it blurs your mind and it makes you just forget about what's going on and makes you just feel happy like nothing is wrong in the world.
Okay, so another symbol in this book is the zipper, and the zipper comes up a lot in this book, and it's used to make things easier, just like a lot of things in this book. So their motto in this book that's brought up in the beginning is community, identity, and stability.
A Brave New World is parallel to Shakespeare's Othello because the play is about a man and a woman and their doomed love, just like Lenina and John. And the man in Othello, he is so wrapped up in this woman he finds and falls in love with her, and he thinks of her as such a pure, virtuous woman, but soon finds out that it's not what it looks like. She's not the kind of woman he wants. So he punishes her for being the horrible, unclean person she is, which is just like John does with Lenina when she tries to seduce him.